Hello, and welcome to the Lee Enochs Show, America's most controversial podcast. On today's show, we'll be looking at job performance of top officials from around the country. Lee, what's going on in the world today?
Thanks, Ryan. Well, I just want to say, first of all, I'm really glad that the district attorney of San Francisco got recalled. Chesa Bowden was a horrible district attorney. Before we started the show, Ryan and I were talking about that this politician basically created a law that you could steal up to $900 worth of things from a store and only get a misdemeanor. And people were just smashing and grabbing stuff all over San Francisco. Since this guy got elected in 2019, high crime rates just skyrocketed, in San Francisco. Murder rate went up astronomically. And the city of San Francisco, which is probably the most liberal city in America, I got a chance to spend a month there. Just walked around one break and just checked it out for myself. And San Francisco is one of the most beautiful cities on earth. But it's just, homelessness is a major issue there. The prices of housing and apartments are high too. That's a big problem in California right now. Just housing, just how can people get housing is a big issue. But I'm really glad that he got recalled. Hopefully, the mayor, London Breed, who is the new mayor of San Francisco, she'll pick a new and better candidate for a district attorney in San Francisco. But today's show, I want to entitle Confessions of an Uber Driver. A few months ago, I got in a vicious car accident. Almost died. I had to spend 32 hours in the hospital, emergency. It was bad. And got out of there, and I'm not homeless, but I'm carless right now. And been doing a lot of Ubering. And so I've met countless Uber drivers over the last few months. This guy Uber back and forth to work all the time. And a consistent theme in my conversation, so I ask them a lot of questions, how you doing? And one of the things that Uber drivers, now you got to remember, these people are not conservative activists. They don't have any skin in the game of what I do, but these are just average Americans. And they're just talking about the high prices of gas, the rising gas prices. They're saying, I'm not sure how much longer I can be an Uber driver because I can't afford the gas. It's just out of control. And a lot of people that listen to this show know that I'm from California. And some of my friends from California listen to the show too. And they're talking about gas reaching $8 a gallon on July 1st because it's already over $7 in many places in California. And on July 1st, across the board tax, 50 cents a gallon tax for everyone in California. How can people afford that? So these are just policies that are really hurting average Americans. So getting back to the Uber driver thing, so I've had just countless conversations, and they're telling me, just issues that they can't afford the gas, they can't afford food prices, and the inflation is just hurting them. It's directly hurting their lives, and you can blame it on the war in the Ukraine, as Biden has done recently. Okay, you can blame a lot of things, but this is just a fact that gas prices on average, at least here in the state of Texas, were $1.50 a gallon in November of 2000. Now they have doubled. They have doubled in just a 1 year. I guess Biden's been in office for a little over 500 days now, and they have doubled in the state of Texas. I guess I read an article recently that gas prices have doubled across America for every American. Now, you can blame that on a lot of things. The war in Ukraine, you can blame that on COVID-19, but Trump dealt with COVID-19. Okay, there's a lot of uh, blame shifting here. But when is Biden going to really just fess up that his policies are not working? Just yesterday, a couple people in his administration resigned. Um, Most people, including the Washington Post, which is no friend of conservatives, said that the Democrats are going to get a major, major shellacking in the midterm elections this year. I mean, all polls indicate an, a crushing defeat for Democrats, and that Republicans will take back the House and the Senate this fall. Now, when I was a younger guy, that made me really excited. But Republicans had both houses before, and they did really nothing. Like they had Trump as president, and they had both houses, and they did really nothing. Okay, so I'm not putting my hopes in politicians, but I just want to say, I think Joe Biden's policies are horrible. Okay, and I mean, just yesterday, the Treasury Secretary said that his policies, or basically her policies that Biden followed about giving stimulus checks, really didn't. It really caused the inflation, a lot of the inflation that we're seeing today, and we're just dealing with that. But I just getting back to the people of the average Americans are suffering rising gas prices, inflation, food prices. There's a shortage of baby formula. There's a lot of things going on in America. And one of the questions I was asked recently is, why is the media so reluctant to point the finger at Joe Biden? Because if this had happened under Trump's watch, right now, at the 500-day point in Joe Biden's presidency, he has the lowest approval ratings in the history of America since they've been taking these kind of polls, even lower than Donald Trump. And Trump was no friend, obviously, to well, a lot of people on the left didn't support Trump. But believe it or not, Joe Biden's approval ratings are that low right now. And the media is only now starting to go, wait, what is going on? I just, one of the places I eat breakfast at always has CNN under it. It's weird. I'm always followed by CNN. I go into a restaurant, CNN is there, and I just saw some different editions or different segments of CNN, and it saying that they're asking what are they going to do about inflation, and they're even questioning it now. But I want to say this to answer that question. Why has the news media been so reluctant to point the finger at Biden? Well, because there's the ominous prospect that potentially Donald Trump was a better president, at least economically, than Joe Biden. This is what the Uber drivers have been saying to me, Ryan. I'm asking just basic questions. A lot of the Uber drivers would tell me this: I didn't like Donald Trump. I didn't vote for Donald Trump, but my life was better off under Trump than Biden. They're saying even during COVID, economically, during that year the first year of the COVID virus, they were doing better off economically. People are really hurting out there, and so there are a lot of people that don't want to see Biden in office again, and that's just the average Americans out there, like hundreds of Uber drivers that I've been meeting and telling me that. And so a couple other things before we wrap it up. I've got a big announcement to make, and this is going to go out to a lot of my friends and my family. A lot of people are going like, why do I have so many degrees? What's the purpose of all this? Because I already have 2 master's degrees and an undergrad degree. Why did I go back to school at my age later in life? Well, the story is this. I was headed towards a PhD at Claremont Graduate University in political science. Probably doesn't surprise a lot of people. Political science is my big thing. I love that school. And then COVID-19 hit, and they shut the campus down. I mean, they shut down really hard. Like that first year, basically, for 2 semesters, the school was shut down. I had to scramble. You couldn't even go on campus. I came back to Texas. And my love really is political journalism. Right now, I'm doing this podcast with you, Ryan, and writing for the North Texas Daily on political topics, opinion pieces. Well, one reason why I'm back at school is I don't have a lot of expertise on radio. And although I can write op-eds, I wanted to get a behind the scenes look at how do you run a newspaper? Because it leads up to my big announcement, guys. My plan is this. Upon my graduation from UNT, if that all works out, because I have one killer class that I've got to really start studying for now, for this fall. It's a upper division algebra class. I don't even know why I've got to do it, but it's going to really kick my tail. But after if I graduate from UNT's School of Journalism, my plan is to go back home to Southern California and start a hometown newspaper from a conservative perspective. I got a name for it and everything, but let me get it copyrighted and everything. And but I'm coming back home, guys. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. It'd be great to stay here in Texas where there's no state income tax. I love Texas in many ways, but as much as Texas has been great to me economically, and I have multiple jobs here. I work 7 days a week, and don't worry, my evangelical friends, I'm going to church on Sunday as often as I can. But I plan to go back home to California and run a statewide newspaper for the conservative movement. A beleaguered conservative movement that needs help. And I find that my gift is not really running for office. It's basically informing conservative voters. And there's no other place in America that needs help than my beloved California. I love California with all my heart. I lived out there for close to 30 years of my life. I love it with all my heart. I plan to return back home to California to make a difference, to get behind candidates, to inform the voting populace, to take on a lot of the progressive policies that are destroying the state of California. Now, I lived in California. I first started living in California in the 80s. And in Orange County, California, where I based everything at, all 7 congressional districts were Republican. They called it Reagan country. Now I think only 2 of those districts have Republican congresspeople in office. The policies of the left are destroying California, and I want to make a difference. And, well, that's that. I would just say this, that liberal policies are destroying America. I think Joe Biden is doing a horrible job in office, and I hope that he gets booted out of office in a couple of years here. And you guys, I always want to speak the truth in love. I always want to debate the issues in love. If you disagree with me, send me an email, and we'll talk soon. Love you guys.